everyone's about to lose performance points. No, this isn't a joke, but it may be a slight exaggeration. A massive rework has already emerged and could drop any day now. But by knowing how quickly these reworks go through, I'll be seeing you all at Christmas with the new changes. So while it's not out just yet, this video will break down everything in this basically guaranteed rework, so no one is surprised. And maybe clear up some misconceptions about the rework, because even though most players are going to lose some performance points, it's actually a pretty decent and well thought out rework overall. I'll give my opinions on each part of the rework at the end of the video, as there's 3 big parts, and 2 are quite controversial currently to many of the player base. First though, I'll explain each part and give a fair breakdown and explanation of everything. But before going into that, give me 1 second. Alright, with that over, let's get into the rework. Remember when I talked about how one of combo scaling removal's main issues was the lack of slider break tracking? Another big limitation of CSR that I thought is necessary to point out is the lack of calculation of slider breaks. Well, here's the proposed fix to that, where the game estimates slider breaks based on the amount of difficult sliders in the map. Simply put, the more misses you get, the more the game assumes that you're slider breaking. Now before you go and rage about it, it's a bit more complicated than that. Basically, there's a cap on assumed miscount based on score v1 score calculation. How this works is it takes your score and your highest combo, it then subtracts what score you'd get with that combo, and then it takes the remaining combo in the map and compares your total score to the total score you should have gotten if you FC'd after missing. Sounds complicated, but in short, your total miscount is estimated using both your score and combo. Then, the system guesses how many of those misses were probably slider breaks, with some limits in place based on score v1 logic. Though it's not perfect, it's an okay solution to the stable client not tracking slider breaks. And yes, this means that any scores set in the laser client before and in the future are unaffected, since it already tracks slider breaks there. However, a majority of higher ranked players don't use the laser client, so this very much affects them and their scores. How much does it affect them? Well, this part of the rework, along with the next one I'm going to talk about, make everyone in the top 100, except Sitho, lose PP. Now for the main reason most people are losing, the hidden rebalance. This change primarily affects scores with AR 10 and above, as most of these will now lose PP if hidden is used. AR 9 to AR 10 aim scores take a small hit, but speed or stream scores with hidden below AR 10.3, so AR 9 with DT, are mostly unaffected. Where things get rough is at the highest AR levels. Some players are seeing drops of 20 to 40 PP on individual plays, and when you combine this with the slider break estimation from earlier, some scores in the top plays are losing hundreds of PP, which, as you'd expect, has caused a bit of an uproar. This is essentially a blanket nerf to most high-level players, and unless you're mostly playing DT, Nomad, or HR only, you're probably getting hit hard by this, even if you've full comboed every map in your top scores. It's also worth noting that the impact scales with star rating. If you're playing maps below 5 stars, this change won't affect you, but once you're above 5 stars, the hidden PP starts to get slashed, especially on AR 11 scores, where up to 80% of hidden's bonus value can be removed. You can see on this graph, on a 5-star map, hidden loses PP from AR 9 to AR 11, but as the star rating goes up, so does the lowest AR value that loses points. Now, for the final part of the rework, and the only buff. Precision is finally getting a slight buff, more specifically to plays on CS 5.5 and above. So you may see a slight 5 to 10 PP buff on CS 6.5 plays and other normal circle size maps that people play, but the big changes come in on the freaks like me who play on CS higher than 7, where you can see up to 200 to 250 PP buffs on a few plays. While CS 8 to 9 is buffed significantly, it doesn't mean that it affects most players, since most maps are around CS 3 to 5, and to even play precision maps for PP is laughable for any map except maybe C-type. Like, to give an example of what's gaining 250 PP, I'll give you this clip. And yes, this took as many tries as you think it did. So overall, this won't affect too many people, seeing as still nobody plays Precision, and will continue to not play it after the changes. But it's at least something positive in this rework rather than flat nerfs across the board. So now, on to my opinion. As I slowly zoom in on how much PP I'm losing, I'll say this. The rework is not the worst thing ever. Surprising, I know, but I do have some criticisms. I don't like how the slider break assumption basically makes any kind of high SR pushing scores basically worthless again. And anything with 5 misses or more is basically nuked into the ground. My next criticism is about the hidden nerf in general, because while I do think it's good that DT only is closer to hidden double time and worth, I don't think they needed to nerf everything all at once. I wish there could have been a buff to high AR and DT only instead, though that would have been a lot more difficult. And finally, about precision. Oh man, it could have been so much more. But at least some scores that are definitely deserving of buffs are finally getting them. But still, everyone is so afraid of a C-type meta for some reason that we can't get precision to be mainstream. So, with all that being said, what do you think of the rework? Are you losing a ton, or are you not really affected by it? I'd like to know, so tell me in the comments below. And while you're down there, maybe give the video a like if you want to see more like this. And who knows, maybe there will be another button next to subscribe soon, so I'd like to see some ideas for what I can do for memberships for you all. And with all that being said, I'll see you next time.